why did we choose to do this? Why did we choose these three series to talk about this afternoon and to show their pilot episodes this morning? Well, first of all, they're brand new. Even though La Trêve and Enemy Public have already aired this last spring on RTBF. La Trêve runs on Canvas as we speak. They started their run last Saturday, 2 episodes every Saturday, and Enemy Public will be aired in January, also on Canvas. And Beau Séjour will premiere here in Gent. Actually, this morning was the first ever screening, I think, in Belgium for an audience of its pilot episode, but on Sunday evening they have their big premiere of the first 2 episodes at the festival. But more than that, last spring all 3 of these series were represented at Série Mania, which is a festival on TV series, TV fiction, which has been running for, I think, 7 or 8 years. And it's the largest, the biggest such festival in Europe, I think. So it's rather important. And all 3 of these series won prizes. La Trêve won Best French Language series, and Enemy Public got a prize for Best Actor for Angelo Bisson, who plays child killer, Enemy Public #1, Guy Béranger. And Beau Séjour won the Audience Award. And so this created a bit of a buzz around our series and prompted American Variety to coin the term Belgian Noir, which I think we should all use in our marketing as of now. There's also the fact that in Wallonia right now there is a new energy, a new sort of initiative that has been created by RTBF and Fédération Wallonie-Bruxelles to create Belgian fiction, which is very interesting. So we thought it would be interesting to compare our 2 ways of working and to look at our neighbors for a change and maybe see what is the same and what is different, and who knows, maybe we might even work together in the future. So I would like to introduce you now to our guests, and first of all, I think I'm going to go start that way, introduce the writers and co-creators, or at least part of the writers team, Mathieu France and Christopher Yates from Enemy Public. And as we have 2 French language series and 1 Flemish language series, so we put the Flemish in the middle so that they're surrounded. So I'd like to invite Bert van Daal and Sanne Nuyens for Beau Séjour. And last but not least, for La Trêve, Benjamin Daoust and Stefan Bergmans. So, a very warm welcome to all of you. Your necks are gonna hurt because I'm over here, but that's okay. You can face the audience as soon as you start talking. I'd like to start with a softball question. Maybe you could talk a little bit about your backstory. What's your background? Where you're coming from? Did you study film school? And how did you become screenwriters? How did you break into the industry? What was your first paying job? Maybe I start on this end. I'll change it up later, so you're not always the first.
Thanks. Hello, I'm Benjamin. I studied journalism and then script writing at ULB, Université Libre de Bruxelles, in a small section called Elicit, which is not the most famous cinema school in Belgium. And then I started making movies as a director. Make 2 short fictions, then a long documentary, and we were working together in a small office with Mathieu and Stefan when we heard about the initiative from the Fédération Wallonie-Bruxelles and RTBF, and we started writing La Trêve like that.
So as Benjamin explained, we know each other as friends, and my formation is at EID. I was in same directing school and class as Mathieu, who is there, and also as Mathieu Donc, who was the showrunner of our series. So we all kind of come really from a small world. And I've directed short films and documentary before passing to the TV.
Yeah, well, I was in film school with Sana a long time ago, and we were both in writing. We were in Sint Lucas in Brussels. And yeah, I really did a lot of short films with Tim Milan, for example, and with Isa Cousin. I did like I don't know, eight or so, I think, before I got my first paying job, which took me a lot of years. And my first paying job was a Clan, which I did with Marlene Rosin, which was a show she created, and I was the co-writer. And then Beau Séjour is the first TV series that Sana and I created together.
Yeah, I was in school at Bert, and afterwards I studied cultural studies in Leuven. And I worked as a journalist and as a teacher. And meanwhile, I was writing short films. I wrote a short film for Cecilia Verheide, Jan en Raf Roses, together with Bert, and also for Anke Blondet. And then I worked for a few writers' rooms before I could develop my own project, and that was Beau Séjour.
Good afternoon. Christopher and I were at the same film school, EID, like Stefan said. I was in the same class. And it was a film directing class for my part, and I directed a short film and two long documentaries, and I created a production company called Playtime Films in 2007, which is co-producing Public Enemy, Public. And yes, Public Enemy was my first paid job as a writer. We worked on two others TV shows with Christopher and Antoine Bourse, which is one of the other writers for Public. But those two didn't have the chance to pass all the stages to production, and Public Enemy did. So that's it.
Hi, I'm Christopher. Yes, so I studied editing at EAD. We've been working together with Mathieu ever since. I've edited a lot of films, documentaries, short films. I've also directed 2 documentaries, and it's all the same. It's the first paid job as a screenwriter. We've all been writing short films for a long time, but this is the first time something hit the screen.
Great. All started out really at the top, if I can say so, because the series have done really well. Well, Beau Séjour still has to air, but they've already done well in the fact that they won all these prizes. And I'd like to ask, what was the genesis of the series? Where did you get the initial idea from? What made you think, yes, there's a 10-part series in it? Because there's all 3 of them are 10 parts, 10 times 50 minutes. So I'm going to start at the other end of the table this time.
For us, it started when Michel Martin, we were writing this previous project, way too complicated to ever be produced, too expensive. And while writing that, we saw Michel Martin being released from jail and entering this convent in Wallonia. And we thought that would be a wonderful John Carpenter film where the monks would have to protect the devil against the citizens who want to enter the monastery. And from that on, we just started thinking about it and thought it would be a great TV series because it involves so many characters from the monks, the killer, the population outside, and in our case, because we have a murder case, so it involves the police as well. So that was almost impossible to think of as a feature film or a short film. So when when RTBF and Fédération Wallonie-Bruxelles launched this project to do series, we thought that was the best opportunity to do it.
Did you fear the subject matter? And what I mean is Michel Martin is such a and Dutroux is such a lightning rod for here in Belgium. Did you?
Well, we never hide from where the idea comes from. But again, after 5 minutes of the first episode, you may understand that it's a completely different story. But yes, we were afraid, of course, of how the audience would take this trauma, so this Belgian trauma. But again, making it with the strength of the TV show that helped us not being not taking part in this in the question raised by the situation, because we had so many characters. We could be more subtle and have all those points of views in the stories, and not just telling those guys are wrong, those guys are right, that sort of thing.
Because you had 500 minutes to.
Yeah, sure, that as well.
So, Bert and Sanne, Beau Séjour, how did it start? Where did it come from?
It started out with a brainstorm at the Mensa, where you were too.
Yes.
And
I know some of the answers, but I'm not.
okay. And Nathalie Bastens had just started out a new job at the Mensa because they wanted to start producing fiction. And she gathered around a group of screenwriters that she liked, and she just had some basic ideas for developing series. And she came up with a picture of the hotel Beau Séjour, which is a hotel in Limburg. And she said, like, I really like the arena. There was also a whorehouse across the street. And she was thinking, like, oh, can we do something with the location, because I really like it. And then I remember that there were several subjects at the table, and that I took the picture of the hotel with me, and I contacted Bert, with whom I was writing short films at the moment, and he was like, "It's just an arena. We have to have a great pitch, you know." So we started developing a great pitch, and then we came up with the supernatural idea. Everyone was watching The Killing back then, so we wanted to do a whodunit, and there were already so many whodunits, so we came up with the supernatural idea of a girl who had to solve her own murder case, a dead girl, and we pitched it to Nathalie, and then she said, "Great, let's go to AIM," and then we started developing the series.
I remember that brainstorm because nobody wanted to take the picture of the hotel because everybody thought, we don't know what that is. So you guys were very brave to take that on, I think, with good results. Benjamin and Stéphane?
Well, for us, it's I think it's more we had no idea really in the beginning. It was really the opportunity of the initiative of RTBF who came because we're all saying, yes, we're not paid as screenwriters. I think one of the difference between Flemish and French, Belgian French TV is that it's the first series that they are really doing. RTBF have been doing some TV shows, but not, which are, I'm not saying it's bad, but it was not in that kind of ambition. So we were, I think, first time we were with the three together, we were like really hesitating, saying, okay, because at that time, we were really not sure if we could do what we want, because we're going to be the first and it's going to be really complicated. and we had not a lot of budget and things like that. So I'd say the genesis of the idea was really practical and okay, what can we do in that budget? And so we went into a murder mystery because we were thinking, okay, we need to do as a first one, kind of try to make an addictive series, which you want with big cliffhangers. So we want to see every week. And I don't know how we started the first idea.
I think one of the first word we had was Ardennes, and the woods and the trees and everything and all the mysteries that we could put into it. And then we started thinking about the characters, and that was the really great part of the brainstorm. It was thinking about who we're gonna put in those woods, and starting conversation at lunch. It began to be something we could not stop doing, and we were always thinking about the characters and the universe and everything, the arena, and it became a trêve.
Yeah. You guys have a sort of a lightning rod as well, in that the murder victim is this young African black soccer player in a village that's all white, basically. So was that that must have been a conscious decision?
That was one of the first decisions, yes. As you were saying, there are a lot of whodunit, and in general, the victim is always the little girl or the little boy who everyone loves in the village. It's Twin Peaks, it's Broadchurch. And we wanted to reverse the empathy and saying that the victim is not someone people liked. And we wanted to try that, and we wanted to put it on screen.
So all three of the series are, in one way or another, crime stories. In one way or another, whodunits. I mean, I've only seen the first two parts of Beau Séjour, but there is a mystery at its heart as well. There's a murder mystery as well. But they're also very different. I mean, also in the way that they use certain elements. La Trêve uses flash forwards or flash backwards. I don't know. Flashbacks. Don't know what you would define them as. And it has sort of a droll, dark humor that, you mentioned Twin Peaks, that might have some connection with that. Enemy is more in a realistic or realism kind of vein, but you have visions and memories coming in for Chloe as well. And of course, Beau Séjour has probably the most supernatural thing that you can have. You have a ghost at the center of the story. So how did you settle on these elements? I mean, I might.
For us, it was really experimental. So we were traveling on the path of writing the series, and some idea just popped up, and we took some of them and we reject the others, and it's like that now. I think. And finally, we thought we had created a universe that was what we wanted to put on screen. But it was not really conscious at the beginning. It was like free writing, and we came every morning with new ideas, and some of them were good and some of them were bad. But we wanted to have a like irony.
Yeah,
irony in the series, because we thought if we do black on black on black on black, it will be like too much, too deep. And as the characters were really dark as the character were already dark, we wanted to put humor to just restrain the darkness.
And the trick, if I can call it like that, of having your lead character, Johan, he's at the beginning. If you've seen the first episode, it's not immediately clear what this interview is. Is he being suspected of something? Is he being interviewed by police? It then turns out that it's some sort of psychological evaluation that he's going through. You had that from the beginning, or you stumbled on, because it creates some kind of tension, some question of what happened.
Yeah, it was. We had the victim, the idea of the victim, and also very quickly we were like, okay, we see it was Johan, the actor. We were really thinking about the actor before writing the series, and we were like, okay, he's so mysterious. You never know what he thinks. Even the actor in real life, you don't know if he's laughing with you or not. Because he's unreadable. And so we were like, we wanted the scene where he explains a dark dream to a psychologist, and then from that on, it would be récit encadré. Frame story, used as a frame story to have another mystery behind the mystery of the death. Yeah, so that there is doubt even on the main character, and
the main idea of La Trêve is to put guiltiness on everyone, and that the audience would have to suspect everyone. And also the main character.
Everyone is guilty.
Everyone is
in
guilty.
this village,
Yes.
in the Ardennes.
That was the idea.
So in Beau Séjour, you have this ghost world. I'm thinking the rules of this supernatural world must have been a bitch to figure out. Because what can the ghost do? How can the ghost interact with the real world and vice versa? Who can see the ghost? Who cannot see the ghost? How did you develop that? Or did you think right away, I have to have a set of rules here?
No, yeah, it was, of course, it was the pitch. I mean, it was the first thing that we had was this: what if you investigate your own murder? That was really, and I mean, it was really hard for us. I think from a storytelling point of view, because only 5 people can see her. Yeah, you have a protagonist that is not, she's active and she's very passive because she's following the police investigation in the next episodes that you will see. In the first episode, it's not that much on the police, but the police comes in and then you have to follow the investigation. And that was really hard, I think, to what she's doing in the scene. She's just watching, or is she actively doing something? And the rules, what we did, and I thought which was really good, was we did a test just to we wrote one scene, the scene with the mother that you see in the pilot, where she throws where Cato throws the homework in the air. So we did a test shoot pretty early on, I think, just to see how would it work if we cut to nothing. How does it work visually? And I think sometimes about the rules. I think visually sometimes it's easier if you do it if you just if you don't bother too much about the rules, because if you're thinking the whole time like who is seeing what and what if you can overthink it. And what we really decided on is just you have Cato's point of view, you have the audience point of view, and we just visually we tried to figure it out. And the difficult where the difficulties, we tried to cut it out. Yeah, like in editing we decided like, okay, just show this point of view, and then you raise no questions. It's just about what's the emotional response of the scene and what do I have to feel as an audience. It was more about, I think we looked for the emotions in the scenes and not so much about the rules of the ghost, because you can really overthink this with the 5 people singing, and so you can overthink it.
Did you ever have to break the rules that you set up for that world? You didn't?
No. But the director said it was never very easy, not even on set, because they were always thinking, what was the rule again? Okay, and then we have to do it like this. So it was important that there were initial rules, I guess.
But I mean, the thing what we really did, that was from the beginning. You said there's a supernatural thing. For us, there was no supernatural thing. The rule was everything is natural for her. She's just a normal person. That was the first rule.
Like, she can drive a bike.
Yeah, she can have sex. She can have everything. She can
have
yeah,
sex.
yeah. You will see. That was. I mean, we pitched it to VRT as this is the first. There's no supernatural thing about it. And we really, I mean, it's, I don't know, for us, I think Der Himmel über Berlin, or something like, where you have a character that is really flesh and blood. That was the most important thing. That's why, I mean, you have to, for us, the emotion was in what's she feeling and what's an audience. I mean, she really had to feel as a normal human being that has, yeah, the only thing is she can investigate her own murder. So, and there was like no going through the walls, no ghosting. Yeah, everything as naturalistic as possible.
She's bound to the physical.
Yes, completely. Yeah.
And so for Enemy Public, you had to create an entire backstory for Chloe, and some of it is flashback, some of it is memory, but there's also this vision of the little sister that she carries with her. Where did that come from? How did you build that? And what were the rules there?
Our main character Chloe is an action hero actually. So she can be very harsh. She can be very distant at some point, and so we knew that we needed to bring back something very emotive about her, and of course she had this trauma inside her, and she lost her sister. Her sister was abducted when she was a child, and so it grew up and it grew up, and starting from a flashback, it transformed into hallucination that she had during the story, and as the story goes, it's becoming more and more of the real important story of Public and me, and I mean that. And of course, there is the crime story, and she's the main detective on that line. But for us, the Jessica, the little sister, was the connection between our main character and the public, the audience.
And she becomes that vision becomes an obstacle for her basically as the series goes. And we've only seen the first episode here, but as the series goes on, it's an obstacle to her functioning in her job, right?
Yes, we had two options. I mean, it's literally a ghost. So whether we had two choices, whether we chose to make like the classical ghost story where a little child pops up and you're afraid and you're hiding someplace and stuff like that. We didn't want to do that at all. We wanted to have our main character Chloe interact with her little sister, even though it's an hallucination. So basically, when she talks with her little sister, which is not there, who's not there, she acts as normally as possible. But at the same time, like you said, her little sister is a really big obstacle in her relationship with other men, with other guys, with her colleagues. She's an obstacle in the investigation as well. So Chloe has to fight against this ghost as well as with the murderer.
It's interesting because the little girl is an interesting character in and of herself because she feels abandoned, even though she's not real. She feels abandoned, and she might be all in Chloe's head, and she wants Chloe to stay with her all the time. So that becomes then the obstacle that she.
That's mainly the obstacle, yes.
So you have this idea, you have this material, and then how do you take it forward? Where do you take it from there? And I'm hinting here at a little bit of the difference between the Flemish way into production and the now new Walloon way into production. So maybe I'll start with Bert and Sanne, because for a Flemish audience, that's probably going to be the way that we know, probably, that you went. So it started out with a production company already, so you didn't have to go look for a producer.
No. So we started at the Manson, the first idea, and then I think we developed it together with Nathalie and Kat. the four of us, for a pitch at VRT. And then, so the steps, really, it's we go through the VIF. So we first go for screenwriting grant, then development grant, then production grant. But yeah, it took us, I think, about 2 years, the whole process for from idea to finished screenplays. Yeah, but I mean, for us, so we started with the idea, and we wrote the whole treatments for the screenwriting grant. And then the third writer came in, Benjamin Springers. He worked with us for 6 months as well. Yeah, then we also had we had a really lot of advice from Nathalie and Kat. They were all the time the producers at the Mensen were there, and then the VRT, Heidi Hermans was always following the whole screenwriting, from step to step. And Willem Alain also did a few months of script editing. So that was a bit of the creative team.
So if we now go to La Trêve, you guys were basically the first series, so everything got tested on you, I guess. So am I right in saying that you were your own producer, Helicotronc, or is that are you part of the production company or?
No, we've all worked with Helicotron before, but we weren't producer ourselves. But with the showrunner, and as it was the first time, we really had not a lot of money, we kind of did a little bit of everything. We took 2 years, but shooting included. The producer said 6 days for one episode. We said please 7 days.
Of shooting, not of writing, right?
Of shooting. So it was about, I don't know, 7 to 8 minutes per day that you had to get out. And like I said, we knew where we were going. We were learning in the process, but we knew that it would be difficult. And so in the writing process, we integrated the lack of money also in thinking not too big scenes, the less extras possible. And really shooting with small cameras, with Sony Alpha 7. You can buy it in the supermarket, because we really wanted to. So it was a little bit extreme guerrilla style, but we wanted to have the most of the time with the actors. So we could not afford to take 1 hour of lightning per day, because 1 hour is, I don't know, at 8 minutes per day. It's 1 minute 30 that you have to shoot faster. So we really had to think.
Even in the writing process already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
at the start, where did you? FTBF did a call for projects. Is that right? And you wrote it for that call, basically, and then. Did you, if I'm not mistaken, because I remember that Anime Public had to do that, you had to produce a little pilot, 10-minute pilot, to prove that you could do it?
Yeah, we had 10 minutes, and that was really learnful for us.
Because they paid for it?
And they paid for it, they paid for writing, so that was really good. And then you have production grants, you have to pass a different. But after the 10-minute pilots, it was okay, we could write and shoot.
And what was in that 10-minute pilot?
It was some scenes of the first episodes, but there we were shooting 3 days for 10 minutes, and we knew by shooting the pilot, okay, we will have to do it 3 times faster. And at that time we were with a big camera with lightning, and
it came from film, right?
Yeah, so we were like, okay, no assistant camera and things like that.
No, in the process, the only moment where we had some freedom was editing, because as we were ending the production, we were just thinking that it's impossible. We wrote very, very quickly, and we shoot it directly after. We were the first in Belgium, in French Belgium community, to do it. So we asked RTBF to have 1 more month to edit, and it was a huge struggle. we won, but it was a struggle. And finally, that's, I think, what made La Trêve, because we had the time to rewrite some stuff in the editing room.
So Enemy Public, you were the second series, I think. Did you go in at the same time in the same call as La Trêve, or?
Yes, we did. So it was September 2013, I think. And like Benjamin or Stefan said, it was actually, it's a historic move in the French part of Belgium because, you have a lot of series here in the Flemish part, but in the French part, it was only sitcoms or soaps. So it was actually a gold rush. I think 160 projects were put in.
The first call?
For the first call, and only four of them, or four, I think. Three, yeah. Only three of them got in, and the third one is still in the process of trying to get the script finished. So we were all basically juniors. None of us were professional writers, so we had to learn the craft from it. We were four in the beginning, and we ended up being five plus some advisors. And yeah, it was a very long process. It took us 2 years to write and finish. Took us a bit longer than La Trêve, so we were 3 months after them. Yeah, so and we also had to do that teaser, that 10 minutes, direct in 10 minutes. That's a continuity of the first episode. So it was not like a trailer, not showing. It's just like you extract 10 minutes from one episode, which was a bit strange, but also made us capable of knowing how we would work on the team for such a short period. I think it was 2 days shooting. Yeah, 2 days.
So it is kind of proof of concept that they have built into the process, basically. That's what it is. They still do that, right? With the new series coming in?
The trailers, the teasers, I think they do that, yeah. Because, I mean, you can count the professional screenwriters in the French parts on the finger of your hand. We don't know so many screenwriters that can really have their name tagged as screenwriters. So they need to test everything, every stage, because they're not certain at all that we can deliver a proper script at the end of the month. So we had a lot of pressure all the time, and also for the directing, because in our team it's the first time directing. So Matthew co-directed with Gerrit Segers, and they both had directed short films, but none had done any feature or any series before. So the television network gave us a lot of freedom in the end at being confident in our crew, first timers.
So then you had to write 10 episodes once you got through the process of getting the trailer approved. And how did you organize yourself? How did you said you were four to begin with, and you had a writer's room basically, and you added a fifth one. How did that work? How did you put that writer's room together, and how did it function? Was there a head writer? Was somebody the dictator in?
Well, not now, but the dictator is now Mathieu. But in the first, during the first series, it was a bit chaotic at first. So basically, we were working as a workshop, as a writing pool. So we were in the room all the time, discussing, fighting together, trying to bring the best ideas out of the discussion. And usually, the best ideas tend to come floating up at the surface. That's how we tend to work. And from that stage, it's best to talk about second season that we're writing, because it's more precise how we're doing it now. Now that Matthew's the showrunner, so we've actually put up a way of writing that is really working on the arch of the whole series, and then go specifically into every episode, scene by scenes. And we are, each of us, that's why we're five of us, each of us write 2 episodes, because it's 10 episodes. So we usually the workshop is always has at least 4 persons or 3 persons that it can go on while some writers go home or in their own office and write on their own scripts.
And Bert and Sanne, you guys started out as a duo and then became 3, I guess.
Yeah, we started doing 2 things. We started developing characters. That's what we always do. We brainstorm for a long time to develop the characters, and we also always do a lot of research. So for this series, we had to do a lot of research at the place at the hotel where it took place to see what the environment was like, but also because we have a whodunit and we didn't know anything about police investigation. We had a very good contact with the federal police in Tongeren, and we started out just interviewing all of the people who worked there, like the drugs brigade, the computer crime unit, the forensics, and the murder investigators. And we kept a very good contact with them during the whole process of writing, because we always bumped into things that we didn't know how it worked in real life. So while we develop the characters, we also have a big wall on which we stick post-its. So we start making a structure as well while we are developing the characters and developing the plot. And then we wrote the treatments, and we went into script development. Then I fell out because I was pregnant, so I fell out for 3 months. And then Benjamin came in, and he worked with Bert for about 3 months. And then I came. Then we had a Willem Wallijn, who is a script editor, coming in and looking at all the problems that we had. And maybe Bert can tell you a little bit more about that, because I was there.
There were his problems, basically.
Then it was his problem. And then in the process of writing, we also we sometimes we had to finish a deadline, and we couldn't get there in time, and then we asked Benjamin also to fill in. What the way we work, we always we go back and forth a lot. So I write something and then I email it to him, and then he writes it, he rewrites it, and it goes back and forth like 10 times for each act.
So it's not like the guys next to you who
Not
really
at
had
all.
one person do 2 episodes.
Not at all. In the end, we don't know who wrote which sentence anymore. So it's really.
No, maybe just about the thing. Yeah, we had a bit of a problem in the after a year we had a good first episode, I think, and then a good ending, but we really had problems of because it was the police investigation, and we really, like I earlier said, we really had a big problem of what's Cato, what does she find out about the other 5 people, their secrets and everything, and we had a really big problem structuring all the different episodes. And that's when Willem and Benjamin came in, and then we kind of reshuffled. We kind of reshuffled everything in the middle, I think. And then what for the breakthrough for us was like, it's really for us the heart of the show is Cato versus the 5 people and what their secrets are and what does she has to solve. And we kind of, the police investigation was not so much at the core in the beginning. I think we did too much of that, and then we kind of did it more to the characters. And for us, that was a big breakthrough.
So, Latreve, how did you guys work, and how did we talked a little bit, Bert and Sanne talked a little bit about developing characters, and that was the start for them. Was it, I gather it was the same for you when you and then you fitted the characters into a plot, or is that too cut and
Yes, it's a mix, and it's a mix of the method they both use, because we started in democracy, But earlier on, we had a very good advice from Guy Goossens, a Flemish director, who told us democracy does not exist in writing rooms. And then we decided to put Mathieu in front, which also directed the series.
Mathieu
Donk, yes, who is not here today. And in the method of writing, we were learning while we were doing it. So it came from all parts. But yes, the characters were really the major part of the work, because we had a very simple plot, which was who killed Driss Hassani, and you had to find who killed him. But the real interest is who are the characters who are able to have killed him. And that was the part where we were working with the post-it on a huge wall, and every day we were adding some.
And yeah, we're kind of different, but there is no technique. We did it like that because with the timing, and it works good. So we write a structure and we make like a treatment, and then at the end it's just Mathieu who wrote the dialogues. But we prepare the work for him most possible, and then he writes it down in the end. And we were short. We were writing some scenes while shooting, which we try not to do on season 2.
Wow. And how did you decide when you were ready to go to that stage, to the dialogue stage? Did you have somebody advising you? Did you have notes from the channel? Or the deadline?
Yeah, we had deadlines. In fact, we are always playing what we are writing. So we always work
in the writers'
in the writing rooms. We play the characters most of the time. So when it works for us,
sounds like fun.
Yeah. Sometimes it's boring, but sometimes it's fun.
And sometimes it's in English. It's really weird because dialogues are always smoother.
Yeah, it's smoother in English. So
this is true. I've noticed that in French series they use a lot more words than we are used to.
In fact, Johan Peters, our main character, used to say Jesus all the time, but he couldn't play it in French. Jésus, it's not working.
So the relationship with the channel, because obviously they had decisions of their own to make on how to allow you to go forward. So did you have to put in every screenplay and you get notes from them, or how did that work?
As we were the first one, I think we had some chances, and they were changing people because it was a new team at RTBF. And there were French producers who came in Belgium to be the head of the writing process. But in the middle of the writing, they went back to France, and there were another person who came, and we were writing while everything was happening. So we had notes from the channel, but not that much, because they weren't able to follow what we were doing. It's as when you're writing, like every day, things can change. And if you wait a month or a month and a half to have some notes, you can't do it, because we have deadlines really strict.
So I'm going to move over to the other side, because the interesting thing that you mentioned is that at one point somebody came in and Séverine Jacquet, and she is a writer herself, so that must have helped in getting notes.
Yes, because because Séverine knew what was on our mind, what we were facing, the discussion we had, and she was very confident in our very own ideas. She wasn't trying to put her own ideas into her own story, and that was a relief for us. But for the most part, we were really free to tell whatever we wanted to tell in Public Enemy, and again, like Christopher said, it's amazing because we were so young writers. Now we are very old writers. We were so unexperienced writers. it would have been that amazing if they were a bit harder on us and more control freak on us.
I remember there being some discussion as to the number of kids who have to die in your series.
Yeah. Yes.
I think it was reduced somewhat.
Well, it's not that easy.
To find the right balance, right? Yeah.
Well, I think at the very beginning we didn't want to have the, well, I'm gonna spoil everything if I tell.
No, don't spoil it. They haven't seen it yet.
Well, there was questions about cliffhangers and scenes that could bring a second breath to the season, to the first season. And of course, when you are doing a murder mystery, you're talking about murders. So at some point in mid-season, you're gonna have someone else who's gonna die. So basically, it was that question that was the reason. And would he be a child or not? That was the question back then.
Bert and Sanne, you worked with VRT. A lot of us here in the room have worked with VRT and with Heidi, I guess. How did the cooperation, the communication work there?
Well, we handed in texts, and then she gave notes. Like when a text was 20 pages, she gave us 10 pages of notes, and we
That's
really,
a lot.
yeah, but we really like it because we tend to like criticism because we get it on a higher level. And our relationship with Heidi was very good from the beginning on. We think she's usually right, so we tend to follow her advice or sometimes fight for our own ideas, and then she's also open to dialogue. So the relationship with VRT was always very, very good.
So once production got started, we talked a little bit about this. Were you guys still involved in once casting started, table readings, start with procedure, and then into production, into the filming and post-production?
Yeah, what was very important for us as well is with the casting. So it's very a collaborative process with Nathalie and Kat in the casting. And what we did early on, I think, which was very important for the writing, was that we did. I think when we had finished the first 5 episodes, we did a table reading already with the actors, just of the first 5 episodes, and that changed a lot for us because they came with a lot of criticism and comments about their characters, about scenes, and then I think we had like 6 months further to write, and so we really changed it. A lot of details about little things, but also major. I mean, there's some new plots developed from those table readings, and then we did another table reading like right before production, like 2 weeks. But we did a separate. I mean, the table reading in the beginning was really separately per actor, so it was not in one big table reading. It was just really separately.
So it was you guys, you and the directors, and just the one actor?
Yeah.
But he or she had been cast already?
Yeah. The whole cast was completed already. So that was.
You didn't let them read together?
Yeah, sometimes a few, like the 2 police, the duo, and sometimes the family. It depended. Sometimes it was just the actor. It depended on schedules and yeah.
Right, just
but it was like 2 weeks or 3 weeks of reading for us, and then rewriting everything. And I think that had a major impact on the writing. So yeah, and then with the we didn't. Yeah, so then they shoot, and then I was in editing, the whole process of editing, because we also changed in editing a lot. It was a really difficult editing process. The narrative was sometimes like with Kato, just scenes you could interpret in different ways. They shot it in different ways sometimes, like they just filmed her and then from her point of view, and then other scenes they filmed her without, and then we even chose in editing. We chose sometimes to cut her out of the scene because it didn't work, or we skipped scenes. We reshuffled. It was because it was really a hard show. I think just because of of your main character that's so active and passive, like I earlier said, that we really had to reshuffle a few things, and we even decided to have one reshoot one day because we had to reshoot a few scenes that didn't work in the narrative. So
That doesn't happen very often.
no, we were very fortunate that our producer let us gave us that one extra day, but it was really needed. We were very thankful for that reshoot.
So in La Trève, I mean, you had the director in your room, in your writer's room, so asking you if you were involved in the production is probably a moot question, so you were.
Yeah, we were. We were even on the shooting because the three of us, we wanted to be also on the shooting because we were with these characters such a long time in the writing. We wanted to see them come to life. And we wanted to be in the adrenaline of the shooting. And also, Mathieu, the director, said, "Boys, I can't do it without you. You need to be there to support me when it's gonna be hell." And I know it seems like I realized when I talk it's like a Boy Scout TV show. No, we really work together, and it's hard to work with friends. But I had already worked with Matthew on his feature film as a continuity boy. I don't know how we say it in English. Boy. Benjamin, he's a cameraman of his own documentaries. So it matched perfectly. We were on the set and in an active role during the shooting. And so during the casting, we were all the way through to the editing till the end.
So Benjamin, you were the cameraman on the shooting.
Not the only one.
Not the only one.
Because there was Olivier Bunjing who made the light and had camera A, and I was camera B. But we shooted everything with two cameras. And yes, we were involved since the beginning. The three of us are directors, and so we wanted to be there and to be part of the process, and we had part to say on the artistic direction. We were in the editing room. We had 3 days of reshoot because we were really in need of empathy for some characters, and we reshoot, but like it was more than guerrilla style. We were in the bathroom of my father with a camera. I was doing sound. The last day we were shooting in the editing room some photos while the editor was editing, and I was just like, "Can you move your feet, please?" And yeah, it was really great to do it like that for the first time. I don't think we are going to do it
For the second
time because it was really stressing also, but we learned a lot.
And of course, Mathieu, you were one of the two directors, but I believe that some of the other writing crew was still involved in production and post-production as well.
Yes, we made readings with the actors, with all the writers as well. And we at that time the script were version 2, version 3. I don't recall. And for the last episode, it was sometimes the first version. So the writers, after the readings, we all rewrote the script before the shooting, of course, and sometimes during the shooting as well.
Was that rewrite purely dialogue driven, or were the structural things still like?
It was both actually, and sometimes it was some bumps into a character's arc or some comportment for a character, some behavior that will show up during the readings. For example, the Guy Béranger characters is very difficult to write because we wanted to make it very medically coherent and realistic. So a real psychopath cannot have empathy for the others. So it was really difficult to write, and also for him very difficult for the other actors playing with him because he gave nothing back it's always acting is always working with the other, and he gave nothing back. But that was because he was a psychopath on the set, of course.
He played a psychopath. He's a very nice man in real life.
Yeah.
So all three of these series have done well internationally so far, and I guess in terms of festivals and prizes, but also in terms of sales. Why do you think that is? What do the? I mean, I know they're all crime dramas, and crime dramas probably sell better. But why do you think Enemy Public has done well and has sold internationally?
Good question.
I specialize in good questions.
Well, first of all, you said it's a murder mystery. I think that's the genre that sells the most. Second, I think that well, I can speak mostly of France, for example. They have their own way of working that is really French, and it's starting now. They're starting to look at the writing room as they do it in the US, but we straight away we started working really as the American writing room and probably the Flemish writing room. I think in France it's really the idea of the auteur, the self writer who writes everything and who wants his name in big, and we try to work in a more humble way and only to work through storytelling, and that's the first thing I'd say. I think the fact that it's local, I think it's something that the RTBF likes to say, local is global. It's near from it's in Europe, it's near from your country, but still it's something you have never seen before. The Ardennes is something, for instance, we both had the idea at the same time when we put the project at the RTBF, was to shoot a murder mystery in the Ardennes, and we had never seen something that used the Ardennes in a very mystical, maybe Twin Peaks sort of atmosphere. And still, it seems so obvious when you go walking the Ardennes that it's a astonishing setting for fiction. And now they're starting in France. They're starting to come filming. There's a TV series called La Forêt that's shooting now in the Ardennes. It's called La Forêt, the woods. And there's also Dardenne. I haven't seen it, the Flemish feature film. So that's maybe one of the reasons.
Seeing the two series, actually, I've never seen. I never knew that we had so much nature in Belgium and so many hills and woods, which is great.
We
discovery.
fake it.
You fake it.
Yeah, it's only one piece of wood.
The drone keeps circling that exactly. One piece of wood. Okay. So for Beau Séjour, same question. What do you think is its international appeal? I mean, I don't know if you can talk about sales yet, but because maybe it's too early. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's too early. We have an international distributor, Lagardère Studio, and it will be shown at Arte next year in 2017. But I think we don't know how the audience is going to react in Belgium yet, because we air in January, and I think for Beau Séjour, the strength is also maybe the weakness. Like, I think the supernatural thing might be something that people really could like because it's something fresh we haven't seen a lot yet. And we have, in opposite of La Trêve, you said like we chose a black man that no one's interested in, and we chose a girl, a 17-year-old girl who is something you have already seen. You have seen these dramas where a kid gets murdered and you have sympathy for the girl, and we have this sympathetic girl, but we also have the supernatural thing. So we hope the two of them will make something special. Like, you're interested in finding out who did it, but you also have this supernatural thing that you've never seen before. And I don't know if Belgium's gonna like it. So we'll see. My dad doesn't like it. He says, like, I don't want to see a series about ghosts. So, and he's 69, and I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah, older audience might for all three series might find it too dark. I mean, my dad tried to watch Enemy Public, and children getting killed are not his thing, but we liked it. For La Treve, what do you think is its international appeal?
I really don't know. No, we were really surprised.
But there must be one because it's selling,
Yeah, it's selling good, and it's great, and I think we really have a chance here because it's something that never happened in the French part of Belgium, so we should enjoy. But I really don't know why. It's maybe because the series are good.
I think that's a big part of it actually. I'm gonna open it to the audience now for a Q&A. If anybody has some questions, I think there's someone with a roving microphone who can come to you. I can see a gentleman over there.
Hello. I really liked the three series. What was the budget of the French for RTBF compared to the budget of VRT?
Very good question, guys.
Yes, I think it's three different budget. We had 2,500,000 euros to do the 10 episodes.
We had 4.5 million for 10 episodes.
And we had 2.9 million
So
for 10 episodes, of course.
We had 10 shooting days. I don't know about you. So,
Yes, it was 7 days shooting for an episode for us, which we of course managed to be quite late, so it was 75 days at the end.
Yes, for us too. I think it was 75 also, and we had 7 days at the beginning.
I think everybody, because it was the first time out, everybody probably went way beyond what would normally be expected on a production, right? Because we had such low budgets on the French side.
Yes, as Stefan said, it was a guerrilla style, and we did it with the energy of a short film. When you really have to fight every day.
It's about 70 days.
70 days. It was guerrilla.
Yeah, the same for us, but we didn't have to push it. I mean, with the crew, they were genuinely they really liked the script. I mean everyone from the crew, and that was a huge kick in the ass for us to make it a good show.
Great. Any more questions?
Thank you. For La Trêve, you used a lot of focus, blurry focus in your series. Is that been done on purpose or?
You're saying I made mistakes?
No,
I'm joking. It's because we didn't had any camera assistant, and we wanted to have something that was sensual. We wanted to use the lack of as Stefan said, when for everything we wanted to take advantage of something that could have been a disadvantage, and so we tried to put it at its best, the blur, and to give it something that is sensual.
Okay, yeah, it worked out very well.
We have time for maybe one or two questions. This one down here.
Yeah, I like all the three. I knew better the La Trêve and Enemy Public because I already seen. But I like the idea of that is the first presentation. My question is that's one. How do you arrive to manage all the 10 episodes? I mean, when you have an idea for one episode, you go the day after and you put a stick and you write on the episode, or you try to have a continuity in the sense that if you have an idea more for how you organize the Bible of the 10 episodes?
We start with the main character and the victim, and then we wrote the end, who were the killer, and then we started building in between, and it was experimental, so we never have done it. So we asked the same guy who told us not to work in democracy, Gigosens, if he had any idea we had enough material to go on for 10 episodes, and then we start writing, and if we missed something, we rewrote.
Which is the nice thing about our situation, which is different from the Americans, that we write 10 episodes and then we fill them, so we can always go back.
Yeah, for us it was really about the 5 people that she can see. So we developed their stories as well, and then the main question for us was why she killed, and why can specifically those 5 people see her. That was really the central theme of the series. And yeah, when we filled that out, then we came to 10 episodes. It was not really, it felt very natural with the 10 episodes, with all those stories of those 5 people as well.
For us, in a way, it was easier to actually it's harder, but we have to cut scenes instead of adding. It's not hard to fill the time for 10 episodes because we have so many characters, and we usually start working on characters. We fantasize without the plot. We fantasize where would we want to see our characters if they were characters in the movie. How would they end up? And then we start working on the stories and see if it could match with our fantasies of characters. So actually, we have it's harder for us to cut scenes to cut storylines, but we have to cut a lot.
You had too many characters, I remember.
Too many storylines.
Too many storylines.
Yeah, exactly.
We have time for one last question. If there's, I see down there. Maybe wait for the mic.
I was thinking about a difficulty that could appear if I think about writing a series is how do you keep the coherence or the style between the dialogues of the different characters, even if they are written by another scenarist? How do
we made our own tools to within the writing room. For example, we have sheets for every characters, and on the sheet you can see how the character will behave, how he's gonna talk, how he's gonna wearing clothes and stuff like that. So if you're not, if you're, for example, you have to write a dialogue with one character, you have like a memo sheet that can help you not to lost yourself. But when you find yourself writing 3 or 4 episodes, it just fills in naturally. At the end, we were able to know exactly how Patrick Stassar would talk or how Claude Muller would talk. It was something that became natural.
For us, we fight a lot, I think, but we really, when we start talking about characters, we talk about people we know. So we really start to create characters with bits and pieces of people that we know or the things that happen to ourselves, so that we keep it really close to ourselves, I think, and I think that's for us but we spend a lot of time investigating, but then we fight like, oh no, she doesn't talk like that, and then we go back and forth. And it takes I think it takes quite it takes a while before you get that voice, but I think when you find it, because you criticize yourself so much, and then you really find it, and then and in the end it's like, oh, you just know how a certain character is gonna talk. So yes.
Yeah, and for us, as we explained before, there is we prepare in the treatment. We make like punchlines of dialogues, and then there is one person, it's Mathieu, who writes the whole dialogues, and then we discuss and we fight with him about his dialogues, but he's the person who gets this coherence.
Okay, well, in closing, I'd like to ask each of you what you're working on now. What does the future hold for you now?
We work on season 2.
All right.
It's less experimental, I hope.
And with a little bigger budget too?
Yes. But not that much, but yes.
We are working on a new series for another production company, iWorks, also for AIM, for the same channel. And it's together with Bert again. And it's about the jurors of a murder case in a trial room. It's very character-driven. It's not supernatural at all. And it's something completely different.
You've had enough of ghosts.
Yeah.
And Mathieu and Christopher?
We're working on season 2 for the beginning as well.
And we're going to see that sometime?
Hopefully in spring 2018.
Okay, well...
I would like to ask you, what part of the budget goes to the creative people?
What part of the budget goes to the creative people?
I mean the script writers and the directors, because of course they are certainly in the French-speaking part.
So what was it?
They are about the same crew. No?
What was the fee for a script?
Yeah, that's
Well,
different way to put it. Yeah.
for our part, it's something like 7% of the total expense, total budget of the film.
So
for the writers.
7% of the 2,000,000,009.
Yes, sir. And that doesn't include the directors. That's something else.
Okay.
That doesn't include also the work to write. You know, it's just an envelope for writers.
So for the total writing process, you mean, from
Yes.
start to finish, with script editors, with everything?
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
I think for La Trêve it was 175,000 for the writing, so it's 17,500 each episode, and for directing it was like I don't remember, but 80,000 for the 10th, yeah, I think.
Okay. For us, it was like 13,500 per episode.
The fee that you... Yeah. Did that include editors, or that's just for the writing? Yeah, for writing. Okay.
All the writers.
Yeah, just for writing. Yeah, all the 3 writers. Yeah.
All right. I'm afraid I'm getting the sign that we have to close here. So thank you guys for your time. Thank you for coming to Gent. Thank you for coming. I would like to say that tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock we have another session here, which is a table read of the winner of the Western Nederlandia prize, which is each year Western Nederlandia gives a prize to an unproduced screenplay. And this year there'll be a live table read tomorrow afternoon at 3, led by director Vanya D'Alcantara and with actors Ina Geerts and Roy Arnouds, amongst others. I'd also like to say that the Scenaristengilde organizes, if there's any short filmers here in the audience, a speed date for short films at the IKL, the International Leuven Short Film Festival, in December. Deadline is 31st of October, and you can win 10,000 euros in material help. So, I would say very interesting. And we're going to take a short break now, and at 3:30 we have a masterclass by Tatiana Anderson entitled TV Series Without an Expiration Date. So do stick around for that. Thank you again, guys. Thank you.